Hey, it's Rob Minton, and welcome back to another Cash Winner video. And in this extremely important video, I'm going to outline why the financial game is rigged against your kids. And the reason why this is so important is that if your children do not own a home right now, there is a strong chance that they'll never be able to own a home. And I'm not saying this as clickbait. I'm not saying this to try to get attention. I'm saying this simply because it is their reality. My wife and I have two daughters, beautiful, hardworking daughters. They are in their 20s, and both daughters have asked the exact same question, word for word, separately, and it's hard to hear as a parent. And it's hard to hear for a couple reasons. The question is, how am I ever going to be able to buy a home? And they ask this question because they see home prices escalating and they understand that the income available to young adults through typical job opportunities is not at a level that will allow them to afford to buy a home, and they feel like they are kind of pushed out of home ownership. Now, thankfully, my wife and I, many years ago, we did a crazy thing and we used their college savings fund to buy them rental properties, so each daughter has a home. But had we not done that, they would be kind of in the situation where they would feel like they could never ever buy a home. This is hard for me as a parent for two reasons. Number one, like if you fast forward to when your kids are maybe 60, 70, 80 years old, would you rather have them living in a home that they own with no mortgage, or would you have them living in an apartment or a rental property where they have to continue making a monthly payment? It's not about anything other than financial security down the road. And I obviously would want my daughters to be in that position down the road. I don't want them to feel in a financial pinch when they're in their 60s and 70s. That would be horrible. The other reason is that, real estate has been incredibly helpful for my family. We have owned all kinds of properties. We've enjoyed numerous financial benefits from those properties. And for many young adults today, those opportunities are not available to them. When I graduated from college, it was 1992. This was obviously a long time ago. And I went to work for an accounting firm. I was a CPA. My starting salary back then, it was $24,000. It's nothing today, right? But back then it felt like a lot of money. And with that salary, I was able to buy a home on my own. And I was able to buy a home within several months of starting that job. And the home I purchased, it was a 4-bedroom, 1-bath home. The price was, I think, $85,000. And my total monthly payment was $765. That payment included taxes and insurance and the mortgage payment. So think about that. If your child purchased a home today, would they be able to afford that home on their salary alone? And chances are the answer to that question is no. In addition to that, my wife and I were able to buy all these other rental properties. If your children can't buy their first home for their family, how are they going to buy additional investment properties, right? These opportunities are really not there for our children today. But this actually is far worse than just home ownership. More than likely, they will end up in this scenario where they live a rented life. And when I say live a rented life, I mean they're going to get up in the morning, they're going to drive to work in a leased car, a rented car, and then they're going to work 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. They're going to drive home in that rented car, and they're going to go to their rented home or their rented apartment. And every single month, they're going to pay all this money out in rent, and they will not be accumulating any assets. They will not have any equity. And because they're not able to accumulate assets, they will be stuck in the situation where they will have to continue to work for the rest of their lives until they are physically unable to work. And that is horrifying to me. Right? That is horrifying to me because we're supposed to be able to enjoy our golden years. And the way things are stacked right now for our children, they will never have any golden years. So to really drill into this, I'm going to go to my computer and I'm going to show you why the financial game is rigged against your kids. And then I'll show you exactly what you can do to change this game, to put your children several steps ahead so that they will be able to enjoy their golden years. All right, I'm on my computer and I want to show you the reality that your children face today. And to keep things real, I'm going to include screenshots from my research to show you what the real numbers are. I'm not playing games with these numbers. This is just what our kids face today, all right? If your child goes to college, you can see on the screen from bestcolleges.com that the average annual cost for college at a state school is around $36,440. That includes tuition, room, board, books, supplies, and other expenses. For 4 years of college, the total cost is around $146,000. If your child needs longer than 4 years to graduate, obviously the cost accelerates. Or if your child goes to a private school, the cost doubles or triples. And you can see that because of the astronomical cost of college, that The average amount of student loan debt that young adults have when they graduate from college is around $37,000, and that is just for the federal student loan debt. They may have additional private loan debt. If they go to a private school, they will probably have double or triple the amount of student loan debt. But we're going to just stay with averages. So what does that student loan debt cost? This might blow your mind, right? On the same website, you'll see that the average student loan monthly payment is $503, and this is where it really is painful. And the really hard part about this statistic is that the average young adult takes 20 years to repay their student loan debt. So think about that. They graduate from college and they have to make a $503 payment for 20 years. I mean, just think about the impact of that. To drive to college or to drive to work after they graduate, they're going to need a car. If they buy a new car, they're looking at a monthly payment of around $735. This is from nerdwallet.com. If they opt for a used car, which is obviously a better value, they're going to have a monthly payment of around $523. Or if they're not able to buy a car or they don't want to buy a car and they end up leasing a car, they're looking at a monthly car lease payment of $516. And you cannot have a car without car insurance. And you can see here on the screen from Value Penguin that the estimated average cost for full coverage car insurance is around $202 per month. If this car that your children drive is a gas guzzler, the average estimated cost for gasoline is between $150 and $200 a month. And younger people, my daughters, they tend to drive a lot, right? They're out and about doing lots of things. So this is why their monthly expense for gas is a little bit higher than maybe what you would pay. So let's just look at the summary of the costs. And we haven't even touched housing, right? So monthly student loan payment, car lease payment, car insurance, and gas, they're looking at around $1,368 in expenses. They haven't eaten any food and they haven't paid for any housing. Okay, so let's move on to those expenses. So if your child wants to buy a home, the average starter home now costs around $240,000. The average monthly housing payment is around $1,900, and that payment does not include property taxes, homeowners insurance, or maintenance and repairs. That's just the cost of the mortgage payment. If they don't buy a home, which they probably will not be able to buy a home based on everything I'm going to share with you, the average rent in the United States is around $1,700 a month, and that is for an 899 square foot apartment. For their home or their apartment, they're going to need utilities. This screenshot from Forbes shows that the average total monthly utilities are around $429 a month, and that includes natural gas, electricity, water, sewer, and internet. So $430 a month for utilities. And then now finally we're going to get to food, right? They have to eat. Our kids have to eat. And this screenshot from Forbes Advisor shows that the average cost for groceries for a single person are around $300 a month. Males tend to eat a little bit more, so their costs are a little bit higher. Females eat a little bit less, their costs are a little bit lower, but we can say that the average monthly cost for groceries is around $300 a month, okay? Now, more than likely, your kids are going to want to have health insurance, right? Cost of medical care is astronomically high, and if you don't have health insurance, man, there's a chance you're going to end up in bankruptcy, so you got to have health insurance, right? So the average medical insurance premium for young adults, as you can see from Forbes Advisor, is around $400 a month. The average monthly expenses a young adult has after college is around $4,210 a month. This includes their student loan payment, their car payment, their car insurance, their gas, their rent, their monthly utilities, their groceries, and their medical insurance. Now let's compare their monthly expenses to the median earnings by age in the United States. And this screenshot is also from Forbes Advisor. And you can see that young adults between the ages of 25 and 34 earn around $1,018 per week. That would work out to be around $4,072 per month. So here we are. They have a monthly income of around $4,072. They have monthly expenses of around $4,210. So they are negative every single month by $138. This is why the financial game is rigged against our children. If you think about these expenses, let's go back. Not one of these expenses makes their future better, right? They are not building any equity whatsoever. They're not building equity in their housing situation, and they are not building any equity in their car. They are just getting by from month to month with no future benefit whatsoever from all of this money that is going out of their bank account. And a few other things to consider from my little income statement here. There are no travel expenses. Young people love to travel, right? We haven't even factored that in. There are no repairs or maintenance expenses for their car. I mean, you got to change your oil, you have to get new tires. There are no expenses estimated for that. This is the bare minimum. And one of the more difficult things to really think about is that we have not even saved for retirement. So you can see, just based on what we've outlined here, our kids are in a negative financial situation, and we haven't even presented realistic numbers, and they are not saving a penny for retirement. This is a very serious situation, and I'm hoping that you take action today to change this for your children. As I'm recording this video, I'm 53 years old. There is a question whether Social Security will be available to help with my retirement. And if it will not help my retirement, there's very little hope that it will be around to help with your children's retirement, which means your children are really on their own. And as I'm recording this, there's this article that came out from CBS News. The headline is, almost half of Gen Xers say they'll need a miracle to be able to retire. And Gen Xers are people my age. They're born from 1965 to 1980. So think about that. We had far more financial opportunities available to us than our kids did. And we are still in a situation where we cannot afford to retire. And the reason why I think this article is so important is because my age range is the age range where it switched from pensions provided by companies to 401k plans, where we were supposed to now fund our own retirement. So if it is this difficult for us and we had all these amazing opportunities, how difficult will it be for your children? And I'm telling you, I'm not saying this for attention. I'm saying this because this really is a reality. So now as a parent, you have two options. The first option is just shrug your shoulders and like, hey, it's the way it is. My parents didn't help me. Why should I help you? That's kind of the mindset you can take. And if you do, man, good luck. Good luck, because your kids are going to struggle their entire lives financially. The other option you can take is to start building a portfolio of income producing assets for them right now. And it doesn't matter how old they are. It's never too late to start. And in fact, I would strongly recommend that you order my book on Amazon. It's titled Multi-Millionaire Kids, How to Invest and Save for Your Kids. And really, anyone can read this book and put the plan I outlined in place, and it will dramatically change your future. In the book, I outline a very simple investment plan that you can make. It's free to get started. It's easy and simple to get started. It doesn't require you to invest in real estate, even though I'm a real estate guy. And the best part about this plan is that once you start it, and if you continue to follow it, your children will benefit from the magic of compound interest. And that means is that they will start to own assets. Those assets will pay them every single month. They can use the income they receive from those assets to automatically buy new assets. So every month they increase their ownership of assets. And if you continue to allow this plan to work its magic, a time will come 15, 20, 30 years down the road when your children will have a very large portfolio of valuable assets that will be providing them with significant monthly income. They can use this monthly income to pay their mortgage payment, they can use it to buy a car, to travel, for medical expenses, and they can also use it to fund the college education of their children and your grandchildren. This really is an important book, and it might actually be the best investment you'll ever make. The book is $10 on Kindle, and I promise you, it could be worth millions of dollars to your children and to your grandchildren. So whether you buy my book or not, it'd be great if you did, but if you don't, please take the time to think through what I shared in this video. Go through the numbers that I shared earlier about housing costs, food, transportation for your family, for your children, and see if what I'm saying is accurate. And it's important to see this now because it gives you the opportunity to take action now to change the future for them. And if you don't take advantage of this opportunity now, the opportunity cost that they will pay down the road is significant. This is kind of like getting on the scale, right? You know, everyone hates to get on the scale. You get on the scale and you're looking and you're like, oh my gosh, oof. I weigh more than I thought I weighed. Negative information is helpful because now it allows us to change our behavior, allows us to change what we do today so that when we step on that scale tomorrow, it's different. You have to go through this process of looking at the negative financial situation that your children are in. Doesn't matter how old they are, they're in a negative financial situation, so that you can do something about it, so that you can change the future. So please just think about what I've shared, and if at all possible, take action now to start buying income producing assets for your children. I promise you, it will change their lives. You won't feel this now. You won't feel this 5 years from now, maybe even 10 years, but I promise you, around 15, 20 years from now, your kids will be very, very thankful for what you did for them starting today.